for the good of the cause. Right on to reports to the board. First item up is the budget status report. Attached, you'll see the budget through February. So Dana,
it's in different order. Usually we do the treasury report.
You can switch whatever you want.
I won't spend a lot of time on it. The spreadsheet is pretty self-explanatory. If you look at in terms of our revenue, we're basically on track from last year. 88.3 versus 88.83%. Kind of, yeah. As I said, we did see in terms of some additional revenue, the $50,000. That was, some back money that has been sitting in New York and finally got paid to us after many years. So that has been added. Looking ahead, April 1st, we will be getting our remaining balance from the county in terms of our property tax. So that will be deposited, but we won't see that for the April, back in May, but we're getting something like $728,000 from the county to balance the books, if you will, for that. Expenditures, same thing. We're just shy of 58% in terms of what we've spent. That's sort of kind of where we are for the school year as well. We have about 4 months left. No real big changes there. Things are proceeding as what they typically do in terms of our expenses. Nothing big has come up, so we're spending accordingly. Questions on the spreadsheet? Same thing with the treasury reports. Nothing really outstanding here. We're not in the red. We're not in the red. The books are balanced in terms of accounting for everything. So in that regard, our available cash balance is a little over $10 million. And the next page, you'll see that there are a bunch of some outstanding checks, but that's not unusual. If you see the large number there, the 135, that's a BOCES payments. Typically, when you see something that big, it's most likely a payment to BOCES. But for the treasury report, things are still running smoothly. Everything is all balanced for another month. Questions on this? Perfect.
Great.
There we go.
Next report is the health and safety for buildings and grounds report. The minutes are attached.
Yes. Basically, you can see from the minutes, we talked about an overview of the capital project. We highlighted the milestone schedule that was put out by Schoolhouse Construction, the emergency stone facade project, which we spoke about earlier, is still scheduled to start hopefully around spring break. Haven't heard anything different, but I guess it's always weather dependent. And we just went into a little more detail in terms of what was going on with the loading dock and the ramp. We've decided in both cases to keep them closed until they can be permanently fixed. We had 2 quotes come in on the ramp, and they were, one official quote came in about $31,000 for a temporary fix, and the other one was more of a verbal, kind of, here it is, if you want me to write it up, and that was in the $20,000 range. So we decided that why spend $20,000 to $30,000 for a 4-month, temporary fix. I think the school has adjusted well to students coming and going from this rear main entrance and not using the ramp. So that was really what we talked about back in March 7th. Yeah.
So assuming the board is okay with that decision, we should probably inform our families and kids, because the last time we left it, it was, it would be for a period of time.
Right.
But we actually thought that we would be reopening the ramp, so we would probably need to get the word out on that.
Fiscally responsible thing to do.
Yes, communicated that probably until the end of, at least until the end of the school year, the ramp will be closed.
It's tough to justify $30,000 for a
Right.
Band-Aid.
For 3 months, 4
That's what
months.
the committee thought. Everybody was a unanimous recommendation from the committee members.
You know, you put in temporary structures just to tear out the whole bridge, you know, say in the beginning of July. Right, spend $30,000 to use it for a couple months, right? There goes the, so you're talking about the surplus, there you go, another ding.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Superintendent's report.
Okay, so I'm gonna share with you a couple of things. One is, I'll try and provide you an update on the capital project very briefly, and then talk about what's happening around here in the schools. But back to the capital project, you received a happy news email from me, which is that the State Education Department approved our capital project. So that was, great news. We hadn't heard much about anything, and then the emails started to fly, and the next thing you knew, we got the approval. So it all happened pretty fast once we had the, what was it, 6, 7, 8 month wait?
Right.
And so, now we've crossed that hurdle, and we're eager to get going, and things are gonna start moving. So on Friday of this week, we will be making the details of our project available to potential bidders, so that we can then, begin to accept bids. So on Thursday, April 4th, we're gonna host a pre-bid information meeting for any contractors who are interested in pursuing our project. And then on Wednesday, April 24th, so Thursday the 4th is right before spring break, Wednesday the 24th is right after spring break. On Wednesday the 24th, we'll be unsealing all submitted bids, and that will be here. Right now, we're scheduling that for 1:30 on that day in the boardroom. That is a public event. People come to them, and you are welcome to come as well. And that's when you really know what this is going to cost. Now, that being said, that's all good news. We also want to share with you, yeah, that's good. We also want to share with you that in our discussions, we're hearing worries about the environment for construction projects right now, and that means that there's a lot of projects going on here in the northern parts of New York. Those projects tend to be focused in on the summer. And so as we move toward asking for bids for projects that begin in the summer, our construction manager is recognizing that they've been seeing inflated bids at other places. And so they're a little bit worried about that. They want to make sure that what we put out there for potential contractors has some incentive for them, A, to bid, because in some places they're not getting the number of bids or any bids at all for some projects. So he wants to make sure that that potential contractors have the incentive to bid, and also the motivation to bid competitively, to not put that price up higher than we've anticipated, just because they think they can, given the environment. So we're going to see where that goes. We're going to be meeting with our construction manager tomorrow and see if we can structure things in a way that makes it work. So we'll keep you updated on all that. In terms of things going on in the district, so we always tend to look at the breaks as being sort of these big milestones, and so we do a spring break coming up in about 2.5 weeks, I believe it is. So between now and then, things move along pretty fast. There's a lot going on. At the middle and high school, you just got a chance to see the preview of the musical. So the musical rehearsals are keeping that group of students busy. Athletic practices, mostly in the gym, as well as the OTC, are keeping our athletes busy. Some of them are the same students, people who are kids who do a lot of things. So there's a lot of activity there. There aren't really athletic contests for another, probably until after spring break for those. A couple of scheduled beforehand, but often those get rescheduled. And of course the musical itself is about, a week and a half away from, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks? No, week after, no, next week, yes, next week from production. But there's plenty of other things going on. Thursday, we announced the senior classes valedictorian, salutatorian, top 10%. We've got that on the calendar. That's always nice for kids who've been working hard for 4 years of school to get that kind of recognition. Wednesday, March 27th, that would be a week from tomorrow. It's actually a pretty big date here. This is going to be our first SAT test dates during the week for all juniors. This is the first time we've done this. This is a new program the College Board allows. The school board last year, when putting together the budget, allocated, I think it was $6,000 for this purpose. And so we're using it accordingly. So this is the first time for our high school students to have an opportunity to take the SAT, no cost to them during the school day. And my understanding is a high percentage of our juniors are planning to take it. And that was the point. It was really to open up that door of opportunity to lower the barriers for any kids, whether it's transportation on a Saturday or the cost of fees, just to eliminate that and see what we get. And so we'll know for sure next Wednesday, but a high percentage of juniors are planning to take the test. That's the opportunity that they have to, do take one of the normal steps along the way to admission to college. Not every one of our kids goes to a four-year college or two-year college, but this gives them a chance to maintain that as an option. And that's really what we want. We want kids to have the option to choose and to make the appropriate decisions to be able to go in whatever direction they see their life going. That same night, that's next Wednesday, our high school counselor, Connie Hammaker, who's overseeing the college, the SAT test date, she'll also be hosting a college application night for parents. Typically, this is for parents of juniors and for the students, because it's when really juniors should be kicking it into gear in terms of setting their college plans at full speed. However, that doesn't limit it to juniors. Eager sophomores or freshmen or any parent who's interested is welcome to attend. But it is certainly the perfect time for our college juniors to get moving on this part of their future planning. Tuck Everlasting, as you know, opens up Thursday, March 28th, so that's the week after next. But the high school chorus will be maintaining the momentum of music in our schools the last showing is Saturday night. On Sunday, most of our chorus members will be hopping on a bus, going to the airport, and then traveling to Disney World, where they will be performing. They did this 4 years ago, and I believe 4 years before that. Ms. Weems, whose retirement you approved not too long ago, is certainly going out firing on all pistons with this show and that trip. At the elementary school, we have a number of local field trips that are going on. The kindergarten, first grade, third grade, they all have local field trips. But I wanted to mention the fourth grade. The fourth grade will be going on an extended field trip to Middlebury College. And this is, I said fourth grade and I said Middlebury College, right? And so that wasn't a mistake. This is actually a regular event where we have early exposure to college experiences worked in for our students. Fourth graders, typically then there's a middle school grade that will go before they hit the high school years. So that is coming up soon. That's tomorrow? Is that tomorrow, the Middlebury field trip? I think that's tomorrow. They're going to tour the campus, they're going to meet college officials, they're going to have lunch in the dining hall. That is, of course, the high point.
Thursday.
Is that Thursday? You got it on the calendar, thank you. This has been going on for years, and sometimes I think these are the secrets in plain sight, things that we do all the time. Again, like I said before with the juniors and lowering the barriers, this is an opportunity for any kid and all kids just to see what's out there, to see if this is, to see how exposure can open their eyes to maybe making decisions in the present time, making some decisions into the future. This is one of those opportunities they get here to be able to be exposed in a way that all kids can be exposed.
Other things going on, got a couple assemblies going on at the elementary school. One is the Iditarod assembly. They're going to be huskies,
Oh, I don't know.
maybe dogs. I think there might be dogs on
I
one.
think so.
And then we're gonna have Chinese acrobats. So, you know, all kinds of things going on at the elementary school. This Friday, all of our students are off from school while our faculty and staff are participating in an all-day superintendent's conference day. That is planned by the teacher-led professional development team. They've been working on it for a couple of months. They'll be opening, the professional development team has opened up sort of a collaborative experience for everybody together at the elementary school, and then there'll be individual workshop sessions throughout the day, that most of which are led by our own people, not outside resources. And there are also opportunities for groups of teachers to organize what we call a collaborative project. And so they determine who they're going to work with, what they're going to be working on that day. And it might be a grade level team, might be a department level team, might be a mixed team. You heard, but you may be familiar with, like for example, in the elementary school, when our art teacher works with our social studies program in order to put together a disciplinary curriculum. These are the kinds of projects that make that kind of curriculum happen. So that's part of what's going on Friday as well. Finally, state testing is coming around before spring break, and our ELA testing will begin for all students on Tuesday and Wednesday, April 2nd and 3rd. So that's all grades 3 through 8 students are expected to take those ELA exams. The math exams follow after spring break. So best of luck to all of our students who are participating in that. And that is everything I've got. Any questions or comments? Thanks.
Busy as usual. Information for the board, there are 2 items. As Roger just pointed out, there's a letter relating to the New York State ELA and math exams, and then the quarterly extracurricular activity report as of February 28th. Any comments, questions regarding those 2 items? Okay. Linking goals with agenda. I just have the building and ground report is finance number 6 and students first and foremost. And then the superintendent report on SATs is number 2 for education, under education. That's what I have here. Anything else? Okay. Moving on to the next section. This is a new section that I think is now a staple. Karen, correct? The capital project?
So, now that we've been approved.
Now that we've been approved, we're moving forward. So in the public content, you had an opportunity to look at the update from our architects regarding the auditorium. Roger, do you have any comments?
Well, you were just in the auditorium, so you might actually be able to place some of these changes. You entered, if you were to look at the second page, for example, when we entered, we came through the exit, which was actually sort of an extension of the stage or that wall. And by expanding the wings, we're moving that entranceway over. We're taking up some of the storage facility on the outside of the building, and then the exit, or in this case we entered, but it would be an emergency exit, is actually on the side of the auditorium. So that's changing on both sides as a way to, it's changing on that side. I don't think it's changing. It's changing on that side?
Yeah, because they're
Yeah, that's changing.
right. Yes.
Yeah. And so that allows us to expand the wings and provide them with more storage and more space, so that they can do productions like this without having to jump through all kinds of hoops, which is typically what they've been doing. You also might remember when you walked in the door along that alley entranceway, we had 2 or 3 sample auditorium seats there. We did make some adjustments to what those seats would be. We think we've got the right one. I guess it'll all depend on the final contract or subcontract for the seats. And so we are gonna, our plan is to go ahead with the new seats. And then you can see how they're gonna be laid out in this diagram. When you were sitting, you probably, if you were like me, your knees were hitting the front of the seat in front of you. That will actually change. There should be more room. And then the seats are just a little bit wider, a couple of inches wider each. And then the seats will be staggered in a way in which you're not sitting right behind the seat in front of you, so that the seats are placed so that where you are behind, the two people in front of you are to the side, so that there's a better visual angle.
What do the blue and the red colors mean?
The blue and the red colors are sizes. So the way they get that alternating is by having two different size seats. And so the red are 20-inch wide and the blue are 19-inch wide. And so they place those strategically so that there's this angle. The total number of seats is 374. That's a reduction. Do you remember how much of a reduction is? Yeah, I can't remember. I don't think it's here.
It is,
4, 6.
Is it there?
well, there's
Oh, yeah, because
454
on
now.
on page 3, it's 454. So 454 down to 374, right? So it's 70 seats, fewer. We don't think we're going to miss those seats. So, and then of course the real change is up top, right in the stage area, by expanding those wings and allowing that. That was really the whole. That was the whole point. And then the other point was to make it more comfortable so people would be willing to come to our events and sit for long periods of time and watch concerts and wonderful musicals like we got.
Is there any new audio or visual equipment being put in?
Sound.
Sound,
And
okay.
perhaps lighting, but that's an alternate, isn't it? Yeah, because the sound is necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the very top page, the very first page, at least in the attachment, shows what we're doing with the railing. We've gone back and forth about the railing. Do we get rid of the brass rails? We decided we couldn't do that. It's just too much part of the character of the auditorium. Wanted to keep the railings, and therefore we had a choice of either putting a large piece of glass in front of the railing to raise the height of the real barrier between the balcony and and the ledge, or keeping it the same height and filling it in with glass. We decided to go ahead and not do the large barrier in front, but to fill in the area between the brass rails with glass. Our architects and engineers said that we're still within code there, and it would reduce the ability for, say, let's just say unsupervised children to lean through the bar, which is the part that we were
Guilty, I think I remember doing
that. It won't stop people from going over, but we haven't had an accident yet. This is going to improve safety, and the height is still within code. So what we didn't want to do is put that 4 foot of glass in there and really distract the visual for everybody up in the balcony. So we decided to go with that glass with clips, essentially, which is what's at the very top.
Any questions, comments?
Oh yeah, I was just curious about, is there any unexpected cost, any anticipated known unknowns, like vermiculating, sealing, anything like that?
We got some known knowns, but we don't, and so we know we have some asbestos issues that we'll be addressing right away. But we have not yet stumbled upon any unknowns.
Okay.
But that's not to say it won't happen.
Of course. Since when was the last time that was redone?
Well, you might have been a student when we didn't open up school on time because of an asbestos issue.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
It might have been the next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it does happen. Fortunately, the people who have been designing this project for us are people who have been working in this building for 25 years. The very same people, not just the company. The very same people. So, they kind of know where the skeletons are buried, or maybe where the vermiculite could be.
Yeah.
Okay, minutes, part of the consent agenda, moving on to the personnel items. The first item up is a teaching staff resignation. The recommended action, I apologize to Mariana from the get-go here. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Mariana Politas Garcia, special education teacher at the elementary school, effective April 19th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Martha. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. Comments, questions?
You heard me say earlier in the meeting that we we take pride in hiring good people, and we hired a good person here. And so, but her personal situation has changed, and unfortunately, she needs to move. So we'll be sorry to see her go.
Okay, please vote. 5-4-0 against, the motion passes. Next item is a, let's see, 10-year extension, recommended action, whereas Rebecca Filion probationary period is originally slated to end August 31st, 2019, whereas Rebecca Filion was granted a maternity leave beginning September 1st, 2017 through January 28th, 2018, whereas Rebecca Filion during her maternity leave had 74 unpaid workdays. Now, therefore, be it resolved, given the above, Rebecca Filion's probationary period shall be extended 74 workdays from August 31st, 2019. Be it further resolved, Rebecca Filion's probationary period shall be extended from August 31st, 2019 to December 20th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Martha. Discussion? If not, please vote. Okay, we have 5-4-0 against, the motion passes. We have another 10-year extension. Whereas Carissa Merrihue's probationary period is slated to end August 31st, 2019, whereas Carissa Merrihue was granted a maternity leave beginning on or about September 21st, 2018 through January 27th, 2019. Whereas Carissa Merrihue during her maternity leave had 22.5 unpaid workdays. Now therefore be it resolved, given the above, Carissa Merrihue's probationary period shall extend 22 work days from August 31st, 2019. Be it further resolved, Carissa Merrihue's probationary period shall be extended from August 31st to October 3rd, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second?
Yes.
Thank you. Any comments, questions on Carissa? If not, please vote. There's 5-4-0 against. Long-term teaching staff appointment. The recommended action is upon the recommendation of the superintendent. Juliana Sayrig is hereby appointed to the long-term position of special education teacher in the middle and high school, commencing on January 28, 2019 until June 30th, 2019. The salary is $46,841, step 1. The master's plus 46, retroactive and prorated of the teacher's salary schedule of the 2018-2019 school year. May I have a motion for this long-term substitute, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Martha. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Any comments, questions on this appointment? If not, please vote. 5-4-0 against, the motion passes. Moving on to additional action items, the senior project approval. This is based on the presentation that we saw last meeting. Be it resolved, the Board of Education does hereby approve the senior project presented on March 5th, 2019 by Mr. Marshall and Mr. White with regards to rainwater collectors. Do I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Martha. Any discussion on this? If not,
Okay, I'm fine with it.
here's to rain. Now, please vote. 5-4-0 against. Motion passes. Next item is a donation acceptance. Whereas Lake Placid Central Schools Board of Education policy 6255 donations, gifts, grants of the district allows superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having a value of less than $1,500. Whereas monies have been granted in the amount of $3,000 from North Country School Camp Treetops. Now therefore it be resolved in accordance with this policy, the Board of Education hereby accepts the grant from North Country School Camp Treetops in the amount of $3,000. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Dan. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Liam. Any comments, questions?
That was nice of him.
It was. Uh, 5-4-0 against. Change order resolution based upon explanation below in the content. The recommended action reads, upon recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached resolution regarding order changes. May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Martha. Second?
Yes.
Dan, discussion on this item.
Just one question. Dana's hung out to dry on this one, but, when it gets over the $30,000 or even the 15 to 30,000, is it both people signing off, or just one or the other?
Both.
Both signing off, okay.
Did we get that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even with the 0 to 15, you know, up to verbal approval. I'm going down with Roger.
And the important part of this is that we will be notified of any changes.
Yes.
You will, and then anything over
Updated.
30,000, the board will be asked to vote on.
All right, 5-4-0 against, motion passes. Special education is next, and that was on the consent agenda. Moving on to the adjournment phase.
Oh, wow.
I got 3 minutes, John. So, let's discuss adjournment. You have a list of meetings there, April 2nd, which is a board meeting plus a budget work session if needed. April 23rd is the meeting, board meeting, and then we'll adopt the property tax report card. April 30th, board meeting, and that'll be the BOCES budget vote. And the May 7th, is that a meeting as well as budget?
Yes, we
Okay.
generally do both
Yeah,
of them.
do
that
both
way.
in Wilmington.
Yeah,
And then on the 14th here in Lake Placid. Any comments, corrections, explanations of those? Any old agenda items or new agenda items? I'll combine those. Take the liberty there. Great. Next session, next section, number 12, is proposed executive session. The recommended action is to enter into executive session for the purposes of discussing administrative contracts. May I have a motion to enter executive session, please? Thank you, Joni. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Liam. All in favor?
I voted for you all.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
that's fine. 5-4-0 against.
Didn't think anyone was gonna say now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, Dana.
Did you note the time that you went into executive session before?
Into?
Yeah,
I got out of.
I had that.
Oh,
I said 6:50. Does that sound
we're
right?
5 minutes late. So it'd be 6:50.
Okay.
I noted that we made up 5 minutes.
By the way, I forgot to share this with the board. If you